With more and more devices today getting fewer and fewer ports, having a really nice USB-C dock or hub is becoming more and more important, especially with things like laptops. And Acasis today sent over their 6-in-1 dock for me to check out. Gonna go ahead, we're gonna talk about the specs, we're gonna talk about all the ports that are on here. I'm gonna talk about some really great use cases for this as well, and then we will also be talking about some pros and cons at the end. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this thing unboxed. All right, so we've got the box here. And let's get this thing opened up. Not much in there. We've got their quality check little stamp there. We've got a small little instruction manual. It is pretty straightforward, so there's not really much on here. Few specs. It tells you all the ports on there and the model number. And then we got the hub itself. So this dock has a very long cable from the looks of it, which is nice. So again, it's in that kind of like blue-gray, that the same thing that their enclosure was in, which is quite nice. We have an RJ45, we've got some ports on the side here, and we have a pretty long cable. Let's get this thing untied. And yeah, that is a very long USB-C cable. I'm going to say this is about maybe 3 to 4 feet. It is long. Let me try to get all of it in the frame. It's going to be a little difficult to do. But that is it bent over 3 times. So it's a pretty long cable. I do like how some cables are quite short, and it makes it very convenient, but some of them being super short is also very inconvenient. So having a very long one is nice, especially if you like having your laptop kind of tucked away while you have it docked up at your computer. This can be really nice. The cable is a little bit stiff. It's rubber. There's no cable weave or anything on there. It's just rubberized, so it can be a little bit stiff. But what I would suggest anybody do is get a nice cable tie to keep this thing organized. So let me go ahead and do that. So I've got one of my favorite little ties here. So we're going to go ahead and get this put on here. Would be nice if they had included like a Velcro one or something like that, considering how long this cable is, but it is pretty inexpensive, so not overly shocking. The cable does stay pretty bent from the packaging. And then we can just go ahead, and this rubber texture is very grippy. And we can just get that going so that when you're storing it away, we'll have to go to this one. When you're storing it away, it'll stay nice and tight. And then when you're using it, you can just use what you need. You can pull out whatever cable amount you need. I would probably suggest opening this up first. Take out whatever cable you need, and then you can kind of tie up the rest. So if I say I only want that, I can just do this. Wrap that around. Now I can go to this one. And now, kind of adjusting the cable size. So just keep that in mind. So now let's go ahead and talk about the ports that are on here. So first off, we have the power delivery port here. This supports 100 watt power delivery via USB-C. That's really great because if you have a device where it only has one USB-C port and that's the way that you get power on that device, you can plug this dock into that USB-C port and then plug your power supply into this PD port, and it will go ahead and pass through power to your device and to the hub so that you're not losing out on being able to charge your laptop or your Steam Deck, for example. We have 3 USB 3.0s. These are the 5 gigabit per second type A ports. We have an HDMI 2.0 port, and then we have an RJ45 1000 megabit per second port as well. And that's it. So very, very slim on ports. It's not double-sided or anything. It's just got the end here. It's got these 3 ports, the HDMI and the power delivery. But they are pretty good ports, and having a power delivery on a dock or hub is super, super important to me, for a reason that I'm going to bring up in 1 second. So obviously there are a lot of devices that you can use something like this for. Your phone, for example, is a really great one. You can plug in a mouse and keyboard using this. You can plug your phone into a TV or into a capture card using this. And you can also wire up some Ethernet in case you wanted to do some crazy download or something. That's pretty beneficial. The HDMI is something that I would probably use this quite a bit for. And being able to power your device at the same time is great. So let's go ahead and test that out real quick. So let's go ahead and plug this in. I am going to go ahead. It's already showing the USB hub is connected, so that's cool. I'm going to get a power in here. Now I have a 100 watt power supply, USB-C over there, so that we're going to plug that in and we get charging. So that's great. Now I'm going to go ahead and get the HDMI port plugged in and see if we can get that going as well. As we can see here, it is capturing the phone screen. It's doing a pretty good job. So the HDMI port doing pretty good. We got charging still going on here. I can plug in a keyboard and mouse and utilize that as well. So this is working quite nicely. Let's move on to something that I feel like I'm going to use something like this a little bit more with. So something I can see you using this a lot more for is one of the handheld computers like the Steam Deck here, the MSI Claw, the Lenovo Legion Go, the Asus ROG. There's a lot of options out there, and I think this is a really great option, especially because devices like the Steam Deck only have one USB-C port, so you would like to be able to still charge your device while using it, maybe put it onto a TV, and then maybe have a mouse and keyboard plugged in, or a USB-C controller or something, or USB controller, sorry, or something along those lines. So let's go ahead. We still have the power plugged in and the HDMI plugged in, so we're going to leave those there. And we're just going to go ahead and get the USB-C plugged into the top here. And the charging is working. The display has turned off, which means it's trying to shoot it out to an external device. Let me go ahead and get that on here. And here we go. We have the Steam Deck being fed through the dock into my capture card. It's working pretty well. It looks good. I think it's doing a very good job here. I can go ahead and plug in a mouse and keyboard if I wanted to, especially if you're using desktop mode on the Steam Dock. That is super helpful. I usually use like a wireless mouse and keyboard for that. It'll work really, really well. You have the 3 USB ports, so you do have a lot of flexibility there. And then obviously the RJ45 jack comes in super handy when you're downloading a bunch of games or playing games online. Being plugged in via Ethernet, you're just going to have a much more stable connection. It's a lot easier to play games online. You're not going to have a lot of randomization in terms of your latency going up and down. I always suggest trying to play games wired in. It just makes things a lot better. And this dock makes that a lot easier. Now, unfortunately, in terms of laptops, I don't have a laptop where this dock is going to become a lifesaver for me, because my main laptop is this Lenovo Legion, and I have the USB-C power delivery and displays, but I also do have HDMI, I have RJ45 jack, I've got lots of USB A ports on here, and I'm not really lacking for ports on this device. But if you had something like a MacBook, for example, or some of the ultralight Dell and LG laptops where they only have a couple USB-C ports, some of them don't have any USB-A ports, some of them don't have RJ45 jacks at all, that's where this becomes really useful, and it'll work very similarly to how I was showing on the Steam Deck. Plug it in, you'll be able to use another port for your HDMI. You'll be able to use that HDMI port for a second display. You can use the RJ45 jack to be plugged in directly without having to use Wi-Fi. You get a couple extra ports to plug in some USB-A keyboards and mice, for example. And then you can also do your power pass-through and still charge your laptop at the same time. So super helpful there. And, this applies to things like tablets, the iPads and the Galaxy tablets as well. Super, super handy there. And I think overall the device is doing pretty well. So let's quickly talk about the pricing here. And at $24.90, I think this is a great deal. anything below $30, I think this is a pretty good option for you. Having the power delivery is pretty big, and I think that's really important. Having that long USB cable is really, really nice. It gives it a little bit of flexibility, which is great. But as soon as you go above $30, so at this thing's regular price, I think you're getting a little bit steep. Above $30, you can usually find docks and hubs that have more than 6 ports. You'll usually get SD and micro SD card readers. You'll get more USB-C ports on there. You might even get some more USB-A ports. So do keep that in mind, but at its current sale price, it's a pretty good option. Now let's talk about what I like about it and what I don't like about it. And first we'll talk about the things that I do like. I do like the quality of the device. It's very well made. It's all aluminum. It feels good. The ports all feel really nice. They all look good. They're all, lined up really well. Nothing feels cheap on this device, which is great. Having the power delivery 100 watts is really, really nice as well. I try to avoid any kind of hubs or docks that don't have power delivery pass-through, because I do usually end up using a lot of these devices for long periods of time. That'll chew through the battery of whatever it's plugged into, and being able to charge that device at the same time is super helpful, and I really do like that. And the port choices for 6 ports is pretty good. I like having the RJ45. This can be super useful with my Steam Deck. I think this layout is almost perfect for a Steam Deck. It is nice and small. The cable does bulk that up though. And as much as I do like the cable, and I think it's a positive thing, it can also be a negative thing because it is quite bulky. The cable is thick and a little bit rigid, doesn't make it really nice to kind of pack away. But it can still be pretty small. Like if I pack this thing up, it can be a pretty small package to go ahead and throw in a bag or your pocket. And if you want to use a longer USB-C cable and you don't want your device hanging off of something, which can, put some wear and tear on your ports, this can be a really good option, and having that long cable is great. I do wish that they included some kind of cable tie with it instead of me having to use my own. I'm lucky that I do have plenty of these. Most people don't though, so do keep that in mind. Now, with all that said, I am really curious about what you guys think about this dock and hub. Go ahead and leave some comments down in the comment section below. Do you guys think the price is good? Do you guys really like the long USB-C cable, or would you prefer something shorter? I'm sure they're going to be reading the comments, so if you guys do want to give any feedback based on what I've shown in this video, comments are a great place to do that. And with all that said, really do hope you found this video helpful, and if not, I at least hope you found it interesting. If you did, I'd really appreciate it if you like, subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, you can leave those down in the comment section below, and I'll try to get to them all as quickly as I can. Big thanks to my Patreon sponsors, and thank you for watching to the end of this video. If you want to see any of the other videos where I cover and review products, you can go ahead and check out the video playlist right up here. And as always, stay safe out there. I'll see you next time.